All right, let's get started. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on an invisible world, a world that is literally all around you, powering pretty much every piece of technology you use. We're talking about the secret language of signals and systems. So, let's dive in.
So let me kick things off with a question for you. What do your noise-canceling headphones, the ones that create that perfect bubble of silence, have in common with your Wi-Fi router, which is pulling information out of thin air? Well, the answer, it's this incredible kind of magical story about math that we're about to explore.
You see, the hero of our story today is something called a signal. And here's the thing, you are literally swimming in them every single second of every single day. But what even is a signal? Well, put simply, a signal is just any quantity that carries information. You can think of them like these little invisible messengers. They're the basic way that information gets from point A to point B. Whether it's the sound of my voice reaching you or the data streaming to your phone right now.
And I mean, they are everywhere. The sound waves your voice makes when you talk, that's a signal. The radio waves bringing your favorite morning show to your car, that's a signal. The light bouncing off this screen and hitting your eyes, yep, you got it, that's a signal too. And of course, the Wi-Fi signals that are basically the lifeblood of our modern world.
But, there's a problem. In their natural state, signals can be, they can be really messy. They can be chaotic and just full of junk and noise. And that's because we experience them in what engineers call the time domain.
Now, time domain is really just a fancy way of saying how a signal acts over time. It's just our normal, everyday perception of the world. We hear a song as it unfolds, moment by moment. We watch a light flicker. It makes perfect sense to us, but it doesn't really tell us the whole story about what's inside that signal. Okay, to really get this, let's use an analogy. Imagine you're listening to a full orchestra in the time domain. What you hear is one big, beautiful, but really complex wall of sound. You hear the final product. But what if you wanted to turn down just the violins? Or what if one of the trumpets was playing a really annoying wrong note that you wanted to get rid of? In that massive wall of sound, trying to pick that one thing out it's almost impossible. You need a totally different way of looking at it. You need to see the sheet music. And this is where things get really cool. To solve this problem, engineers and mathematicians basically invented a portal to another dimension, the magical frequency domain.
So here's how this crazy journey works. You start with that messy, jumbled up orchestra sound in the time domain. Then you use this powerful mathematical tool. It's called a transform, like a Fourier or Laplace transform. This thing acts like a magic prism. And all of a sudden, you're not just hearing the orchestra anymore. You're seeing a perfect breakdown of every single frequency that makes up that sound.
And I just love this way of looking at it. These transforms aren't just some boring equations in a textbook. They're like putting on a pair of glasses that let you see the signal's DNA. That chaotic wall of sound suddenly becomes this perfectly neat, orderly list of all its ingredients. Here's the frequency from the violins, here's the one from the trumpets, and oh, there's that unwanted buzzing frequency from a bad light fixture in the concert hall.
So now that we're in this new, orderly world, the frequency domain, we basically get superpowers. We can finally start to easily manipulate or even sculpt the signal however we want.
I mean, think about it. Back in the time domain, that unwanted noise was all mixed in, right? It was like a drop of black ink in a glass of water, impossible to separate. But here in the frequency domain, suddenly that noise is just another line item on our list of ingredients. And what do you do with an ingredient you don't want? You just take it out. This whole process is called filtering.
And engineers have this whole toolbox for sculpting signals. For instance, a low-pass filter only lets the low, bassy frequencies get through. That's what gives you the deep boom from a subwoofer. A high-pass filter does the exact opposite, letting you hear those crisp, high notes from a tweeter. And a bandpass filter? Well, that's exactly how you tune into a radio station. It creates a tiny little window that only lets the frequencies for your specific station pass through, while blocking everything else out.
Okay, so we've done the hard part. We've taken this trip to the frequency domain, we've cherry-picked the exact parts of the signal we want, and we've tossed out all the junk we don't. There's just one final step. We gotta bring our new, perfect signal back home to our world.
It's pretty simple, really. If a transform was the portal into the frequency domain, then something called an inverse transform is the portal that brings it right back out. We take our cleaned up list of ingredients, our perfect sheet music, and we use this process to stitch it all back together into a signal that we can actually hear or see again in the time domain.
And bam! This is the payoff, right? Our signal hero comes back from its journey completely transformed. The before was music filled with annoying static. The after is clean, crisp audio. The before was a blurry, out-of-focus photo. The after is a sharp, stunning image.
This incredible transformation is really the beating heart of all modern signal processing.
So why should you care about any of this abstract math? Because this whole incredible round-trip journey from our world to the frequency domain and back again, this is the secret sauce behind so much of the technology we just take for granted every single day.
Your noise-canceling headphones? They're literally listening to the noise around you, transforming it, creating a perfect anti-noise signal, and then transforming it back to blast silence into your ears. Your phone does this constantly to make Wi-Fi and 5G signals work. An MRI machine uses these exact principles to turn radio waves into unbelievably detailed pictures of the human body. It's happening everywhere, all the time.
So, the next time you put on your headphones for a quiet flight, or stream a movie without a single glitch, just take a second to remember that invisible journey. Remember those signals are traveling from time to frequency and back again, all to make our modern world possible. The world is absolutely full of signals. You just have to wonder, what secrets are we going to uncover next? Thanks for diving in with me today.